This is the Focus Group
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
with Tim Bennett
Fuck her up, Buttercup.
and John Nash.
We never give up.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Who knew business talk could be so much fun?
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. And it's July 4th week, and this is the Focus Group July 4th Extravaganza show. We have many, many things lined up for you today. First, of course, we're going to do our Caught Our Eye, our business birthday. We're going to visit with our partner, Deep Discount. In the middle of the show, we're going to flash back to our recent visits with the DNR crew, who were here a little while ago. And a little further back, we're going to look at our time with Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci. And then we're wrapping up the show with a brand new segment. It should be a yearly segment for us, frankly. It's Tim and John Shop Costco. And actually, for me, it's more of like a Magellan kind of Columbus thing, discovering Costco.
Discovering Costco?
Tim sends you to Costco with a list of his favorite things. And if you go off the list, trust me, you'll walk out with some great items. And that's how you start. That's what gets you in. That's your first hit's free.
I want to buy. There is an item on there that I want to get. It's one of our listeners, Paul in Mass.
What did he
recommended.
mention?
It's a workbench. It's $299. No, it's this huge workbench that I think would work good in my house. But he used it as a kitchen island, and it's Costco has it for $299, and it's $700, $800 in most other places. So
Classic Costco. When Bob and I were there last at the Yonkers Costco, we had to replace a microwave in our kitchen, but it's a small one, and they had one sitting right there for like $79 or something.
small microwave, huh?
Tiny one. And so we were going to get it, but I said, you better take a measuring tape to that thing because it's got to fit the spot. You know, it's got to fit that spot.
Is it built in or no? It's on
No,
the
it's just
counter?
something that's just a...
You use a microwave a lot?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Almost every day, I would say.
Did you celebrate Canada Day? July 1st? That's their Independence Day.
Canada Day is July 1st?
Yeah.
I kind of celebrated it because that's the start of the Tour de France.
Does anybody even watch that anymore?
Yes.
Now that
5 of us.
the Tour de Lance isn't on. Is it on TV? What
Yeah, it's
channel
on,
is it
NBC Sports runs it. And surprisingly, they run the Tour de France. I mean, I love watching it as much as I can. But by the third week...
Even though it's kind of not been a household...
Yeah, no, I know a lot of the guys. I don't
household.
know the guys, but I mean...
Watching bowling.
I know the names and I know the whole thing. But I love to watch it. Bob
The team is good.
Team Sky is one of the favorites. Of course, that's Chris Froome was the lead rider.
Where are they from?
From England.
Okay.
He won the
So
Tour.
there's no U.S. teams.
There are U.S. riders. Andrew Talansky. There's a bunch of riders on European teams, but no, we're not fielding actually, maybe we do, but not high in the standings, not like Astana or Sky or all the other ones. So July 4th week, I know. We're officially kind of halfway through the year, which is really, really just kind of shocking to me. Like, you know, we had the longest day of the year. Was it the 21st or something? I always say that's the worst day because it's all downhill from here.
Who would even pay attention to that? You don't know it's getting dark until sometime around September.
I know.
September,
yeah.
October, it starts getting a little dark.
That's when you really notice it. But I always say December 21st to the 20th is my favorite day because that's when it all reverses and we're climbing uphill. And then we get to the top and we're going to go downhill again. I don't know.
Your whole life is on schedule, Nash.
I think I need to actually address that at some point. I worry about things that I don't think other people worry about.
Yeah, or pay attention to things you don't have to pay attention to.
All right, so on this Focus Group July 4th Extravaganza special, what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Mine's pretty simple. And right before the show, you had said that you had seen this as well. But the headline of this is Gay Man Sent Home for Wearing Shorts to Work on a Hot Day Returns in a Dress.
I love this when I saw this.
So it's a young British guy. The temperatures were pushing 90. He works at a call center, so he has no interaction with people.
He sits at a desk.
He sits at a desk and answers a phone, and it was a hot day. So you can see the picture if you're watching along on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live. So he wore a pair of shorts, and he has a picture of himself he took with his shorts on, which I think look quite nice. They're a pair of blue shorts. And so he wore those into work, and then he was told he needed to go home and change.
Yeah.
So he got a little aggravated by the whole thing. And so he went home and put on a pink and black dress. So went back to work and there's a picture of him in the black and pink dress. He took a selfie of himself in the elevator. And then to make the point that women could be dressed more comfortably for warm weather or hot weather. And why would men have to be constrained? So he made his point, and although he got in trouble for it, he said he was frustrated that the dress code treats men and women differently. And he said, in this line of work where nobody ever sees us, what's the big deal as to whether he wears shorts or not? So his protest, they said, did have impact. His employer then sent out an email informing staff that due to the extremely warm temperatures, gentlemen were permitted to wear 3/4 length shorts. But those are capris, right below the knee, which I think are worse.
Like a capri
those
pant.
Like clam diggers, they call them.
Clam diggers. That's exactly the.
And they had to be in neutral tones of black, navy, or beige. He also retweeted after the new policy came out that he thought the impact of gender dress codes on transgender people and women was not fair, and opened people up for lawsuits and said, if you can't trust people to wear proper outfits to work, how can you trust them to do their job? But I do remember this back in the mid-'90s when most companies went from a formal dress code to a business casual.
A lot of confusion.
Well, and you had
especially
to
with
tell
guys.
people what to do. And they said, so I remember at Subaru, they actually sent out a memo that said, if you would cut your grass in it on a Saturday, don't wear it to work.
Okay.
So if you look like you were going to cut the grass, because some of the costumes that came in, and then they did allow shorts until the shorts got out of control. So the shorts had to be just above the knee or at the knee because some women were wearing inappropriate things. Even we had a couple women wearing onesie, like bathing suits, with just a skirt over it, which were also, I remember one woman had leopard on. And a leopard bathing suit.
Or accounting.
She was in accounting.
She was accounting. I suspect that. I don't know why.
The outfit had such a stir that it was like, hey, did you go see so-and-so on 3? You got to go down there and walk by her desk. You can't believe what she's got on.
The C-suite was paying.
So another note had to come out about proper dress and then actually spell out, here's the kind of pants that are appropriate.
No leopard, no this.
So you could see where that'd be an issue. But did you have dress code at Moon City?
No. And we never had to worry about it.
You did. You did after one time. You came down to Subaru, remember? You had to tell Greg to clean it up a little
Oh, Greg used to dress like he was going to a Susie and the Banshees concert with the rag clothing and the safety pins. You're like, you're going to a corporate...
The Rasputin beard and whatever. I remember you saying to you, if you're going to present to come look for a couple $1 million, you got to look...
like you can hold a couple $1 million. Or
that, you didn't just roll out of...
that.
What was the concert? Susie and the Banshees
Susie and the Banshees or just...
Your army fatigues.
And he would come down looking like Prince after a hard night of playing Purple Rain or something.
There was an agency, I still remember this, when the agency was up for review, and this one agency out of Manhattan brought down all these young, I guess at that time, Gen Xers.
Yep.
Or Gen Ys, and they came in ripped up clothes and boots untucked and hair a mess.
It was their agency. And they
No one listened to a thing they said. They walked in like that, came up on the stage, and it was... books were closed. It's like, we're not giving you $300 million. Next. So what caught your eye?
All right, so in honor of the Tour de France, what caught my eye was the next big thing in cycling doping could be using poop. Poop doping. Or,
poop?
So, there's this interesting new development. Well, basically, have you heard about how they do fecal transplants?
No.
Certain people who have really, really bad medical conditions like I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but it's like chronic diarrhea, whatever. They discovered that there are microorganisms missing from their colon and their intestines. And
But that's what yogurt was for.
When they take a healthy person's fecal matter and put it into someone whose colon is missing those organisms, the organisms migrate and they actually become healthy and they're okay.
Is that probiotics? I thought that's
No, not.
So it's different than yogurt?
It's not. You're not going to ever get this stuff from a yogurt. Yeah. So there's a woman named Lauren Peterson who's a postdoctoral microbiologist at Jackson Laboratory. She suffered from Lyme's disease for years, ever since she was a teenager, and she finally kicked it in 2013, but the intense use of antibiotics ravaged her colon. Her system was a mess, chronic fatigue, stomach problems. So she learned that her microbiome the colony of microbes in her body was dangerously unbalanced and was not functioning as it should. So she was not breaking down any food, and she learned that she was not eligible for a potentially beneficial fecal transplant. So she went to a friend who was a competitive cyclist who donated the fecal matter. I don't think that's too hard to donate. That wasn't too hard to donate at all, right? She did her own little procedure. It cost $6 for a drugstore enema kit because that's how she administered the fecal matter. She would not recommend this to people to do. Within 2 months, she was a new person, no more fatigue. She could race bikes again, and she was breaking down food normally. So she's determined that there are certain things in people's microbiomes that make them excel or not. And what she found was that 10% that athletes have one particular thing in their body called Prevotella. And in fact, the top athletes, the top cycling athletes, have this in abundance. And it separates them from a normal cyclist who can't perform
As opposed to you, has lots of Nutella.
Nutella and pretzels, yeah. So she thinks that someday they're going to be able to harvest these bacteria and an athlete can have an enema and within a few weeks get the benefit of the enhanced microbiome.
So she did an enema shooter up her butt?
Yeah, and she said it was a do-it-yourself, a DIY. And John and Garrett are laughing in the booth. We have John and we have Garrett.
What other way is there to do it?
Right. I hope she
What other way is
hit of
there to do
ecstasy
it?
or something, or some meth up there, get her going for the day.
So the
My goodness.
so the guy.
Where'd you find this?
It was in it just out on a British blog actually, and Deadspin magazine also ran a copy of it too. Deadspin's so perfect, and I didn't even. They wrote it in such a snarky way that it was so funny. But despite the hurdles involved, they assure us that someday this will be something. So that was what caught my eye.
New way to get shit-faced.
Business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
This is somewhat I guess coincidental about Hocus Pocus. Yeah, Hocus Pocus medicine. P.T. Barnum.
With his little friend,
today,
Tom Thumb.
Right, July 5th in 1810. He died April 7th at 80 years old. An American politician, I did not know that, showman and businessman remembered for promoting celebrated hoaxes and for founding the Barnum and Bailey Circus. It says, although he was an author, publisher, philanthropist, and for some time a politician, he himself said that I am a showman by profession, and all the gilding shall make nothing else of me. And it was his personal aim to put money in his own coffers, he said. He was widely and erroneously credited with coining the phrase, there's a sucker born every minute. He did not
Erroneously?
do that. Yeah, there was never any. That was, a lot of gamblers would say that, and he would say it as well. And so it was credited to him.
It was a phrase in the day?
They never, it was a phrase of the day, but it was often credited to him, which they said really wasn't true. One of the creepy things on there, he had this Human Curiosities or a freak show. And he had this mermaid called Fiji. Did you hear about this?
No. And, the Barnum Museum was in Bridgeport, right?
Right. Well, burned up. Fiji got burned up with the museum.
I was going to just tell people to go visit the museum. You're like, nah, Fiji's gone.
But he had he took a huge fish and sewed a monkey's head to it. Had it in a tank and said it was a mermaid. And the picture of it's disgusting. So he had a lot of these oddities and Tom Thumb. But he also had an opera singer named Jenny Lind, who was known as a Swedish nightingale. She was one of the most
name rings a bell.
regarded singers of the 19th century. She sang opera. He put her on tours. Tickets sold out everywhere. So popular, he even auctioned off tickets. So he was one of the first people that would promote acts nationally and brought her in and did that. But as I said, he was a politician, and he was mayor of Bridgeport, Connecticut. He worked to improve the water supply, bring gaslighting to the streets, and enforce the liquor and prostitution laws. He's also instrumental in starting the Bridgeport Hospital in 1878 and was its first president. But he's buried in Connecticut as well. He was born in Bethel, John. Bethel, Connecticut.
He's a son of Connecticut.
Yeah. But, it was his birthday.
When you were a kid,
5th.
did you see the museum?
No.
Yeah, we went about 2 or 3 times. And
what was it?
It was a big, beautiful old Victorian house, and General Tom Thumb, his costumes were there, and some other stuff. But at one point, my mom kind of didn't like the Barnum Museum after a while, because I think it was it really wasn't factual. It's a museum only of oddities when you think about it. And we loved it. We're like, can we go to the Barnum Museum? No, we're going to go to some other museum where we're going to learn things. You know how that household.
He was also anti-slavery and
He was progressive.
yeah, he was progressive for his time. So he said a person, regardless of what their shell is a person.
As a person.
So it was
Bad.
It was P.T. Barnum's birthday.
All right, so Deep Discount is a partner of ours on the Focus Group. They've been with us for several months now. We love working with them. This month, they have the Indie, I-N-D-I-E, the Independence sale going. So it's a nice way to hook into the July 4th holiday, but also to check out a lot of independent film titles. And I knew that if it was indie movies, it was actually going to be in Tim's wheelhouse, because there is one thing you do know. You do know independent films.
I know some independent films, and as soon as I saw this, I thought, okay, which ones do I like? And two came to mind immediately for me. One of them was Lost in Translation, which has Bill Murray and really put Scarlett Johansson on the map. And
Directed by?
Sofia Coppola.
Perfect, yeah.
And I actually took all that at the time when I was working at Subaru. I took all the people that reported to me to the movies. We went to the matinee to watch it because a lot of it culturally about what's it like being an American in Japan sometimes. And Bill Murray was doing advertising for a liquor.
Suntory. The whiskey. I'm doing this with my hand because he had the glass. He said, it's Suntory time.
And a lot of the places...
like a James Bando.
That hotel where that bar was filmed in, we used to go there all the time.
Really?
That was a place we hung out. So I thought it was interesting, but it really is a kind of a midlife crisis romantic comedy sort of thing. The other one was Sideways, which has Paul
movie.
Right, Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church. And
really actually put Giamatti on the map, right?
Yeah, and they said that if it had not been an indie film, they said it probably would have been Tom Hanks and George Clooney that played the parts. But the fact that Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church did it, that it did, you're exactly right, put them on the map. And it's very much a middle life kind of angst movie. Lots of funny parts, lots of sad parts.
I liked it when Anna Wine plays a key.
Yeah, the wine is used as the vehicle for such, but Hayden Church is getting married, and it reminds me a lot of friendships at middle age, because the guys had both kind of gone their own ways, but still had a loyalty to one another, and still would kind of go to the ends of the earth for one another. And we all knew people like them, so that's what I loved about that movie. Did you pick
Yeah, on page 2, I think it's on page 2 of the Independence Day special section of the Deep Discount site. And by the way, reach Deep Discount by going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on their logo, which is on the right-hand side. And if you go through, we'll get credit for sending you there, which we'd like. And we do want you to visit.
Extra credit.
Everyone wants extra credit. So the movie that I thought was a perfect independent film, I was introduced to it years ago, was Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Oh, my gosh.
Elvira inherits a $50,000 windfall from her Aunt Morgana, who's died in some New England town, and she goes up and she sets the town ablaze. I just will say one line from the movie where she's talking to some hunky carpenter, and he says, you know what your problem, Elvira, is? And she goes, what? He goes, your problem's Chastity Pariah. And she looks down, and she goes, I thought I got rid of that. And Chastity Pariah was the name of the town's, laced up Victorian morals person. Elvira is just Mistress of the Dark, classic. She's at her best, and if you remember her from her TV shows, you're going to love it. So that's the Independent sale at Deep Discount. And by the way, Deep Discount, when you're there, poke around for extra discounts and stuff. They put up little, you could click on something and get extra 15% off or free shipping. I just used a code and got free shipping and 15% off and got a little treasure chest in the mail the other day. Oh, by the way, Stop Making Sense. We got the Blu-ray.
Did you? Did you love it? I want to.
It was like going to the concert again. It's such a I'll let you borrow it. It's a fantastic thing.
So before we let you go, there's also always a new release at Deep Discount. This week it's The Zookeeper's Wife, which is a true story about a Polish couple who saved hundreds of people from Nazis by hiding them and using secret tunnels below the zoo to help them escape. So that was just released on July 5th.
And if you're a Star Wars fan, and if you saw Rogue One, you should see this because it stars Diego Luna, who played Cassian Andor.
We have to ruin every bit with Star Wars or something.
I'm just saying,
Science fiction.
this particular actor is really good. He's in The Zookeeper's Wife.
So be sure to go to Deep Discount and check out all the great movies, vinyl, CDs, and other things they have available. If you go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo because we get credit for it. Shark. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, as John mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to visit with some old friends of the Focus Group. We've got a visit with Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci, and then it's going to be followed by Derek and Romaine. So stay with us. We'll be right back, and happy 4th of July week.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Let's make some money.
He's the business manager. Let him manage.
This is the Focus Group.
Champagne! Champagne for everyone!
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett on our July 4th Focus Group Extravaganza. And that's the same hand gesture, by the way, that we use for the Pride Leprechaun.
Was it?
Happy Pride.
Liberace, too, I think.
Liberace, too, yeah. So right now we're going to do a visit with Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci. They came by the show a couple months ago, and we're going to give you the highlights of that visit. So enjoy.
One of the things when John and I were over on OutQ, and what we missed the most was listening to some of the other programming. One of our favorite shows, if not favorite show,
yes,
that I listened to every single day was the Frank DeCaro show.
Wounded my heart
with
when
Doria
we couldn't
Biddle.
tune in.
And John had the pleasure of running into Frank and Jim at the Out 100 Awards and said, hey, you got to come on the Focus Group. So, camera, we've got Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci joining us here on the Focus Group. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Guys, it is such a pleasure to have you here in our fabulous studio.
It's gorgeous.
That overlooks
Sunset now.
a cosmopolis somewhere.
So when we were delighted to have you both come on, and I guess the first thing when I saw Frank was, let's throw what we do, the elephant on the table. Is that what we would say?
800-pound gorilla. It's a
800-pound
fat
gorilla.
joke waiting to happen. It just doesn't matter which animal you choose.
You look and this isn't one of those. Oh, you look fantastic. What did I look like before? But congratulations. How much weight have you lost?
Okay, since April, it's about 65 pounds, but since 2011, it's 93, I think, or something like that. I'm going for Lisa. I've been touring with Lisa Lampanelli, God love her, Insult Comic Deluxe, and she's lost 107 pounds. So I'm going to meet her and I'm going to get to 107 pounds. So, and then it's just so we're both have lost 107 pounds. We've lost a person. I had one friend who was a little performance artist, this little miniature person, and I was like, little miniature person. No, it was true. No, she wasn't a little person, but she was a little person, but not a little person. But I said, oh my God, I lost more. Now I've lost more than Sharon. You know, my friend Sharon. So, but yeah, no, it's been great.
Can I ask how you did it?
I've been using an app.
Well,
Fear of Lisa Lampanelli.
Yes, this is true. Fear of Lisa
always a
Lampanelli
motivator, right?
So Jim knows the drill.
The secret.
So Lisa Lampanelli, Insult Comic Deluxe, we love her anyway, but doesn't pull any punches. She had the bariatric surgery.
Right.
Lost 107 pounds, kept it off. 5 years now. So she called me to her house the day before Easter, and she said, come on up. I've got a great idea for your career. It's going to be great. So come. So I go to her house. I drive to Connecticut all by my lonesome. I get there at her house, and I'm sitting there. It's not about my career. And she said, you came because you're a money-grubbing fame whore. And I said, yes, this is true. She said, but here's the thing. She said, you're family now, and you're not dying on my watch.
Now, was this after OutQ or before?
Yes, no, it was after. No, OutQ ended in February.
Right.
So I had the time to diet, and so which honestly is true. It's like if it was kind of the perfect storm for losing weight because I didn't have a day job. I could actually sleep 8 hours, which you'd kind of need to do. I could work out every day,
right? Which
I was doing almost. I haven't the last couple of weeks because I'm staying in the East Coast. I don't really have a exercise plan here yet. I was going to a gym for a while, and then and that ran out, my temporary membership. So we're getting back to in the swing of that. But so Lisa said, here, download this app. So I downloaded this app. that you journal all your food with, and
like a MyFitnessPal or something.
Kind of, yeah. It's called Lose It was the one I used, but any of them really work.
The one where you take the picture of the food.
Yes, you can take a picture of the food, or you can do the barcode if you're eating frozen things from Trader Joe's, like a lot of us do. And those dumplings, I tell you, 2 minutes you're done. So, but you can barcode, swipe it, and it the food pops up.
And it has a lot of restaurant menus built in, right? So they have the calorie counts.
It's true. So I've been doing all that. So I've just been counting calories. The only problem is now. So all right. So when I started, I was 291. Now I'm about 223 to 225, depending on the day. So then it was 200 calories. Oh, it can still lose weight. Oh, down at 1660. It was like the mark of the devil. 1666 is the new calorie count that I'm allowed to eat for the day. So it's like
1,600 calories.
Almost 1,700 calories a day.
You
hit
it's
hard
around noon and then say that's it, and you have to.
You do. You go to bed at 5 o'clock a lot. You do, and you take the little propofol, go right away. No. You just have to sort of budget your day and go along. And what's nice about the app though that I've been using is it'll tell you, like, if you go over a little bit, it'll say. If you don't go over, it'll say, you're going to lose your weight by December 24th. And you're like, yay, Christmas. Then I'll eat like a pig on Christmas Eve. So, and that's that. But then if you go over a little bit, it says, you'll lose it by January 24th. And every once in a while, when you have when you've had the day where you're over by like 1,500 or 1,800 calories, it says thanks for journaling. Basically, is what it does. That's all. It's just good on you for writing it down.
You'll be losing.
Good for writing it down. You fat pig. You. It's really what you feel like when you're over.
Is the app developed by Don Rickles or something?
It does. Good. No. See, Lisa was talking about this. She said that actors. She was quoting Louis C.K. I think she was saying actors respond to nurturing and coddling. Comedians don't frig this up for me. You'll ruin it for all of us. It'll all go down, And so we respond to guilt. And so she was like, don't do this. Because she said, you're going to my bariatric surgeon if you don't lose 30 pounds by Gay Pride. That was in April. So she said to by the end of June, I had to lose 30 pounds. And I did. I'm going to get my stomach cut out.
The bariatric?
No, I don't want to get cut up. I had my tonsils out when I was 5, and I hope I go to my grave with every other part of me, my gallstones included.
Attached.
All going. Yeah, I hope we all go many years from now. It all goes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think, though, I don't want to skip over something that I think is important to talk about, and that is the loss of OutQ. And I know that Tim alluded to it earlier, where I could reliably tune in to your show on a daily basis, and whether I called in or not didn't really matter. I don't think whether anybody called in. You wanted a dialogue, but just hearing you and your take on the day, or whatever, if Dennis Dermody would be calling in, or you'd be talking about TV.
Must-hear TV.
Yeah. So I know for us that when we heard the news, it was very devastating, but we were once a week. So what is it like to have that audience taken away from you when you're doing it 5 days a week?
Because you were 10 years?
12
years on the air.
12.
Yeah.
I missed the 3 hours when the red light was on, and that's it. That's all I'll say.
Well, no, you also missed the connection with the audience.
Oh, yes. That's what I mean. But that's what to me, that's implied in all of that.
Yeah.
Yes. I missed the 3 hours of me and the listeners and Doria and our special guests and meeting all those people. That's the piece I miss. I don't miss sitting at my desk. I don't miss having to answer to anybody. I don't, It was there was a good relief component when it finished. It was time to do something else. And I'm not good at leaving. I'm not someone who breaks up with somebody or something. I could wait till somebody breaks up with me, which for better or worse. But it was kind of time to do something else. And people were like, do you ever talk to Doria? And I was like, yes, and we talk all the time. We're pals. And it wasn't, our chemistry wasn't forced. We were lucky it worked out that we got on as well, since we were so different from each other.
What Frank doesn't say, and I will because I was never a paid Sirius employee, so I can.
Neither were we.
Neither were we. Yeah,
it was handled so poorly in terms of the audience and the gulf in their lives now that they're missing this connection. A lot of people outside the New York, LA bubble really relied on OutQ for their news, for their friendship, for their camaraderie. And, look at the year we've had in 2016 since it ended in February. We had the Pulse shooting. We've had this election. There's so much we need each other for, and we need a way to talk to each other via. And it couldn't have been worse timing for a corporate entity to decide gays don't need their own channel anymore because they have marriage.
I'm glad you said that and we didn't put a lot of the people on air, but we would get calls every week, and I'm sure your show did as well, a mom would listen and say, can I listen to this again? I think my son needs to hear this segment. Or a lot of people, like you said, in the hinterland or the flyover territory, there was a lot of the listener. And there was a connection that they had, and they felt like, there is somebody like me, or I'm going to be okay. And
It's vital.
Yeah.
And they got to hear happy gay people.
Yeah.
Happy married gay people with full lives who were funny and happy. And
we had a listener who used to take his son specifically on Saturdays to run errands during our show, and because the father suspected that his son might be gay, and I think the son did end up being gay.
And this was his way of letting his son know it was going to be okay with him. So he wrote us this very long letter and said how he purposely created their Saturday errands around the focus group. And he'd get in, he'd turn it on. His son would say, "Dad, what are you doing with that?" "Oh, I'd like to listen to it." And then eventually his son did come out a couple of years later, but it was his way of connecting with his son. Now that's a straight guy in the Midwest with his son that's thinking, "Gosh, who knew," right? And that's the part that we miss.
Yeah,
as well.
and we would hear from we heard from a woman who said the same thing about her kids. She's like, I would have my son listen to your show or his daughter because then you're examples of fully formed adults. They're having fulfilling, happy lives. It's not wasteland. You don't have to, So I think that aspect is missing. And I was talking to a listener at an event recently who asked.
Never do that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And he asked me. He said, "Can you lend any illumination as to why they did this?" And I think we all know what was going on in the minds of some of the programming people.
But don't we have to guess? Because they never really told.
Well, they told everybody who called in with.
We're all biting our tongues.
I just read a line. I just read a line from somebody else that is so perfect. They said, "We had creative differences. We wanted to be creative, and they thought differently."
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Not my line, but I thought, yes.
But this guy said to me, whenever I would call, I would be directed to a specific channel. I'm like, that's your answer right there. That was management and their idea of what LGBT programming was.
Yeah. No,
Well, they did think gays are gays are gays, and they thought that the LGBT audience needs just one option because it's all the same.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's disconcerting, but hopefully something new and wonderful will come out of all this, and we're truly appreciated. I mean, I think that was really my big problem was not feeling appreciated. If it was a good show, it was good. If it was an okay show, it was okay. If it was a terrific show, it was fine. As long as it wasn't dead air, they were happy. And I don't like to work that way.
And now we can sit in a glamorous metropolis such as this in a beautiful studio and appreciate each other.
I don't like that. I want it to be, if we're really good, reward us for it. If we're not, show us how to be better. And there was not a lot of that. And so that was hard for me. But onward and upward, as they say. You just have to. And we talked the other night. Yeah. The line I always love, Phil Rosenthal quoting someone else, the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, used to say, "Make the show you want, because sooner or later they're going to cancel it."
I remember when you actually said that on air. We were talking about that once.
Really, it's good. Just do what you want. And always, what's that thing about apologize, don't ask permission? It's always like, oops. It's like, oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Just do your thing. And
I will ask you one question. Though.
Yes.
And I'm wondering.
I hated everyone. No, I didn't.
Was there a fake? And this is such a trite question or something. But was there an interview that you just absolutely loved?
Which was?
I have one.
Okay, I loved the B. Arthur one.
Okay.
Because she said filthy things. Filthy. I love the Carol Channing one because
that's my favorite.
Yeah. I said to her, she said she was going off to do a signing. I said, "Carol, have you ever had anyone asked to sign like a boob? Sometimes a girl will take a boob out and say, 'Sign my boob.' I said, 'Oh, Frank, I'm scared. I don't want to go.'" So that happened. And I asked
Dame Julie
Andrews about what is it you see face? The line from Sound of Music in which
says, "What is it you can't?"
What is it you can't face? And it comes out. It used to sound terrible. And I asked her about it. And I was like, I just said the C word in front of Dame Julie Andrews. It's like, what did she answer? No, she said, "Oh, I've never heard such a thing," and blah, blah, blah. And which was good. But
she
it
was
really
playful about it.
She was playful, but it was really like, we ended it. And now I look back and I say, you asked Julie Andrews. My interior monologue now is,
But I would say
out of your mind.
Joan Rivers interviews, you were
the Joan
great.
Rivers
Yes.
Munchkins, that was so much fun. You had so many really historic people.
One of the Munchkins grabbed my hand. He's dead now. They're almost all dead. He grabbed my hand and he said, "So many people treat us like circus freaks, and you're treating us like Hollywood royalty, and thank you so much." And that was one of two things that meant the most to me. That and the mother who called in, she said, my son died of AIDS and I have not laughed until I heard your show. And you sound like him on the radio.
Oh, wow.
And you don't know what a comfort that is to me. I was in a puddle. I sat there, I was like, I am speechless. Motormouth Maybell here is speechless. I didn't know what to say because you think you're just being self-indulgent and goofy and you're talking about baloney stuff and you're self-aggrandizing, you're doing in some ways.
Did you have...
And then you're reminded of that you are doing good.
Do you have the Carol Channing interview?
I think I have a copy of that.
You should put it up on Facebook.
I don't think I own it because I was
give it to
an
us. We'll put
employee.
it up.
Okay.
Because it's hilarious. I mean, when you say to her, "You're an out," I am. It's almost like she had no idea where she was, and you were just playing along and laughing with her, and
I was dying.
And
Joan Rivers, it was what Jim mentioned. Joan Rivers, when she said, I walked in. We were doing an interview. She was wearing a hot pink jacket and had silver accessories, and unbeknownst to me, I walk in and I'm wearing a hot pink Lacoste shirt and silver Prada
accessories.
sneakers. Okay.
Silver Prada
I walk in
course.
and I said to her, "Oh my God, I got the memo about how to dress." And she looked at me. She said, "Only a-holes dress this way." And she didn't say a-holes, but it was just so funny. And she was one of those people that was generous, and you could make her laugh. When I interviewed Robin Williams, but not for serious, but for something else, he also would laugh. It's like people who are that funny are generally speaking are generous they'll laugh if at you or with you or whatever. They're not intimidated because they know how talented they are and they're secure.
Well,
so
and that's,
you can make
that's
them
the other
laugh.
thing about what we've all done is, you get to see people behind the proverbial camera, right? And you discover that there are a lot of them are just like us. Mm-hmm. Their special gift is the talent that they're talking about on air, but they end up being a lot of luck, and they end up being a lot like us, right?
So we had one guest who came on posthumously. The executor of Rue McClanahan's estate brought her ashes.
As a surprise.
As a surprise. It was a
Can you
surprise
imagine?
guest.
Guess who else is here with me?
Rue McClanahan's cremains did my show.
Rue had done your show alive as well.
Rue had been alive. Yeah, she'd done it alive. But
that's a perfect segue.
Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash, Tim Bennett. Hope you enjoyed our visit with Frank and Jim, former members of ours on the OutQ team, and we loved seeing them.
On a platform.
Now we're going to visit with Derek and Romaine, DNR 2.0. They were here a few weeks ago. We loved them. We'd love to have them back on, and I think you'll enjoy their visit with the show. So enjoy. Midday Coffee Show. We have the infamous Derek and Romaine. Welcome to the show, guys. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thanks. We're glad to be here.
Last time we chatted with you, we were in your swanky new digs, and I'll tell all the people that are watching, they have a fantastic studio, and you moved to a bigger space, I think, since we last saw you, right?
Yeah, we're twice the size.
Although I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest, we were lifting up the couch cushions in here. Romaine was looking at all the wires. Yes. So, we're like these terrible nosy neighbors. Like, oh, let me see your coffee maker. Like that's how we were here. So, yeah.
So you're wearing some finery, some Derek and Romaine.
I love this
merch.
shirt.
This is our DNR Cult T-shirt.
Drink the punch.
Yeah, it was designed by one of our listeners because the new Derek and Romaine show has kind of become a little bit of a cult. The listeners are so loyal and so passionate that we let them design some of our merchandise for us, and they buy them and they wear them, and it's awesome.
Although we have a lot of former listeners, or we have a lot of listeners from our former platform we were both on. Why don't we, for the new people out there, why don't you let us know about what you guys are doing since you rebooted, so DNR 2.0.
Well, we're coming up on our 2-year cancel-iversary. I can't believe it's been...
I haven't heard that, cancel-iversary.
Well,
I love that he calls it that.
I
It's
do.
So sweet and
And
nice.
we did a video on YouTube last year for our 1-year cancel-iversary, our 2 years coming up, and I'll probably cajole Romaine into a YouTube video for that again, too, just to let people, catch up to where we are.
I'm trying to even say it, a cancel-iversary. Cancel-iversary, okay.
After SiriusXM canceled our last show, we did a YouTube video like 3 days later, and basically let people, we were live on YouTube, we let people make comments, and Romaine and I basically assured everyone that we were fine and
we hadn't died.
We hadn't died. We were going to figure out what we were going to do, but we really honestly had not figured out yet what we were going to do. But it's nice to check in on our annual progress. We're coming up on 2 years, and Romaine and I do a show very similar to the show that we did before on Sirius XM. We're live 2 hours a day. We take calls. The show is available through our website, derekandromaine.com. You can see the information.
There it is
on the screen. And what's great about doing our own show this way is that we have, you know, at SiriusXM, we only had our 5 most recent shows available for people to listen through their app. Our shows, all of the shows we've done since we launched in January of last year are available. Hundreds of hours of shows. And every subscription comes with a private URL, and people can add that to their favorite podcast app. If you have an iPhone, podcast, the app.
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, yeah. You can listen to it. You can live stream the show through your podcast app, and you can download past episodes through it. So you can really take our show literally anywhere, anytime. I actually think it's more convenient to listeners now than it has ever been in all the years we've been doing radio.
Have you found, and John and I have experienced this since we rebooted as well, is that more and more we were a slave to having the live show, which is important. But so many people now seem to listen more, like we do with TV now,
time
right?
Shifters, yeah.
So are you finding that as well, that even though you still feel...
You're doing it live.
You still do the live show, but there's still more and more people that will now take you and maybe binge listen on a weekend or something?
Romaine and I are, we're very different people, but we tend to be in a lot of agreement about our business, which I think is an important.
That's one good area to be. Yeah, I agree.
But and in this case, we had a couple of lucky breaks. One is that our previous show, SiriusXM, changed the schedule of our show right around the same time that they launched their app. And so for the last 3 years, I guess, we were doing our show at SiriusXM, we had a lot of people who were already time shifting through the SiriusXM app, downloading shows, listening later. So that, I think, was an advantage for us in launching the way that we did. We already had people who did that. But I talked to my mother because she listens to the show a lot. She's our #1 fan. But she prefers a live show. There's something about the dynamic between us, you don't know what's going to happen next kind of dynamic of our show, that a lot of people, they like that it's live. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to make the show as available and convenient to people as possible, but also deliver this sort of I don't know what's going to happen dynamic the show.
And we added elements to the live show to make it even more fun for the people who wanted to participate live. So like we have a live chat room that happens during the show where all these listeners get in there and they can communicate with one another and comment on whatever we're talking about while the show is happening and participate in a way they've never been able to do it before. And they can also watch us on like webcams. And, again, it's just utilizing the technology that's out there and exists and, making our content that much better than it was before.
But on that chat room idea, which I think is fantastic, it's the difference between someone being in a car driving home from a late shift, what are they doing, and I'll call DNR because and that's one of your cool things is the accessibility that you guys. You're very accessible to your fans.
We try to be.
Because we're going to talk about cruising in a minute, too. And not the kind of cruising I'm thinking of. But
there's cruising that goes on in the chat room, believe me.
Who monitors the chat while you're on air?
Are you guys doing that while you're...
We tend to... we both have it open, and... Usually, like if Derek is telling a long story, I'll watch what's happening. Or if I'm on some kind of rant about my wife, Derek will pop in and take a look at, what's happening in the chat room. So we definitely, we look at those things, intermittently while the show is happening because we can't be too distracted. Although sometimes I get a little distracted.
Yeah, Romaine can
and
get
Derek gets mad.
Then it's a whole different show. That's John. It's the same with John will do the iPad because we'll do a game and then he'll get engrossed in and then it's like you got another whole show going on.
We launched an internship program. We partnered with the Ali Forney Center, which is a homeless LGBT youth center here in New York City, and we started bringing some of their clients in to be interns on our show. And as part of that, we're always looking for new ways we can kind of give them technical training that they could take out into the real world and get a real job. So one of the things that I'm pushing for in the coming year is adding some video components to the studio so that we can, in addition to teaching them audio, we can also teach them some video editing skills and things like that. Again, just trying to give more experience to these young people and, helping to elevate what we're already offering.
On the Alley Forney, and this is actually a good kickoff for a series of questions I wanted to ask the two of you, because you guys have always been big supporters of the LGBT community, specifically key centers and key service providers in certain cities, the bike rides.
Yep.
And with the intern program, when you're talking about one of these youth that are from the Alley Forney Center, where would you place them on a spectrum to a normal high school kid?
Man, these kids...
Is that a fair question?
No, I think it's a totally fair question. And, it's really interesting because we knew when we started taking interns from there, when we were at the old company, we used to take college interns, kids who'd gone, pretty privileged kids. And these kids are the complete opposite. Most of them are so eager to get this opportunity because it's their first real chance to kind of prove themselves in the work world. Most of them have never had a job. Most of them have not graduated high school. And so...
Were they kicked out of their homes?
A lot of them are kicked out of their homes. Some of them, they choose to leave foster care situations because it's so horrible. We have some of them, when they first start with us, that they haven't gotten into the, I call it temporary permanent housing with the Alley Forney Center, where it's, not the drop-in center where they try to get a bed every night. Some of them... That's where they're at when they first start with us. And so you don't know if they spent the night in the drop-in center that night or on a train all night long before they come into work. So the opportunities that this internship provides is really life-changing for some of these youth. And I think that's part of why Derek and I really felt strongly about launching an internship program and specifically targeting interns that we really felt we could have a huge impact on. And I think it's been successful so far, and hopefully we'll continue to do it for
You're raising money this month. Is it Locker Candles? Is that how you say it? So tell us about that, because people can donate to raise money to...
Well, I mean, I'll take us back a step actually about the intern program. So when we first launched the show, we got contacted by a longtime listener of our show on the old show, and then she had become a subscriber of the new show, Suzanne Collins, and she wrote us an email and she said, "Look, I love what you guys are up to. I have a private foundation. I really want to support you guys. How can we do something together?" And I saw the email and I said, "This has got Romaine written all over it."
He did. That's exactly what he said to me too.
When you have a partnership, whether it's a radio show or any other kind of business, or a marriage, you quickly realize where your strong suits are, where your interests are, and that kind of thing. And with our old show, we raised more than $250,000
huge amount
for various charities over the years. And I got to be honest, that's Romaine. Like that's she's the one who beat that
Mel,
horse.
where's the check?
I love to get money, so what can I say?
But even still, it's like when Romaine is committed to making something happen, she makes it happen. Even if that horse dies beating it across the finish line, she is going to get there. And so, we didn't know what shape this partnership with the Suzanne Collins Foundation was going to take. Suzanne Marcus Collins Foundation, their actual official name, before Suzanne writes. But anyway, so we didn't know. But one of the things we said is, we want to do this. Sure, this is a great opportunity. We, like you guys did with video, when you're launching something or relaunching something, you have to keep an open mind and just say, well, what are the opportunities available? What's the technology available? How can we make this work? How can we make this better? And one of the components that we said was, well, if we do this, we want to create some way in which we can give back. And so we talked about doing this internship program. And at the time, we didn't know about the LEAP program that Alley Forney and the Gay Center in New York was doing. But we wanted to commit to doing a paid internship program as part of having this studio space.
How did you guys, when you're having that discussion, let's do the internship program, did you actually have a set of tasks that you thought would be perfect for such a thing? Because it's you guys are very close to how you produce your show, and things have to be a certain way, not in a bad way, but there's So did you have
talking about us sitting in Derek and Romaine order before we sat down? Yes, we are very wedded to the way we do things.
Well, John, it's the same thing. So did you have? You knew you wanted to give back.
Yeah.
You had this vehicle. The foundation could get this going. You had an idea of what these people you wanted these kids to be learning and doing.
Yeah, I mean, because we had interns at the old company, so we had developed a very specific internship program. Ours wasn't like, just go get us coffee or do this or do that. Like we were very, very proactive in teaching them how to edit, teaching them how to produce a.
In other words, they get on they use Adobe Audition.
Oh, yeah. We have our
audio
interns
clips for you
editing
guys.
all the time. They're doing research. They're doing show prep. Like we
doing promos.
Doing promos. We have them running the boards and learning how to do all of those things.
Wow.
And it really is, and like because these interns are so green, as you would say.
The
new batch. I'm actually teaching them simple recording engineering things, so that if they go to a church or a local bar to get a job running boards for a concert or whatever, they can do simple stuff like that as well. So like
you guys are really.
We've built an entire
in your execution
program.
of this program. You really thought,
oh yeah,
these are the skills that I want to give these.
We created a textbook.
Yeah, I mean, because Romaine and I appreciate you using the word "we," but because Romaine and I think both will take credit for the overall work that we do. But if you're talking about the day-to-day things with the intern program, Romaine really does that. And
that's not true. We hired a producer who helps with that.
Yes.
I got to give credit to Katie.
Katie. Lovely Katie Castellano.
Romaine had worked to build this intern manual when we were at SiriusXM. Many of our former interns went on to careers in radio.
Wow.
So we knew when we were building, part of why we said, we should do an intern program, it's because it was something that with the old show we had done fairly successfully. And when we discovered that we could partner with Ali Forney and the Gay Center here in New York with their LEAP program, it was kind of a perfect opportunity for us to, it was sort of one of these things where you have this idea and then you discover, it's going to be even easier to pull this together.
Oh yeah, that was the best part. That really was the best part.
But for us, it has always been about creating a really rigorous training. Yep. And our feeling is whether the interns go on to careers in radio or podcasting or YouTube
giving them
or whatever
skills.
We know that when their internship ends, they will have a resume filled with high quality skills where they could, if they wanted to pursue some kind of career in media, that would be open to them at whatever level.
Now,
they want.
I'm assuming these kids don't necessarily come with technology at their side.
Most of them don't, but they're millennials, so they do. I mean, they all have cell phones, and usually it's a smartphone, and so they do have a pretty good understanding of technology, just because of their age. So. But they don't, maybe they've never edited audio or things like that. So a lot of that is new to them, but they pick it up pretty quick, which is, one of the nice things.
I think I'm going to go be an intern.
I can teach you a couple things.
I could use the help.
Same here.
Well,
I could use you because I'm the tech guy.
Romaine in this
I think this is a really wonderful, another incredible example of DNR giving back, and not just giving back. I mean, it's one thing to raise money and to give a big check. It's another thing to do exactly what you just said, where someone leaves working with you guys and they have actionable things on their resume that say, I can do this. And it's an at-risk LGBT youth, which I think is an amazing thing.
But I just have to point out, we couldn't do it alone. I mean, if it wasn't for our listener, Suzanne, and for
Ali Forney.
The Ali Forney Center, but also our listeners. Our listeners, we did what we call our Season of Giving, which is essentially a fund drive to go into the fund for this internship program. And our listeners raised an enormous amount of money. They all contributed because they understand what we're trying to accomplish. So realistically, we couldn't do it without the DNR listeners and without a lot of help.
And that's where I started with. So this candle, the Lochner candle. So is that a listener's company as well?
It is. It's a listener's company, and every year he makes these Pride candles for the Pride season. And this year they came to us and they said, "Hey, listen, we love your internship program. We really think what you guys are doing is special. Is there a way we can contribute to that?" And I said, "Well, sure. We'll take every donation we can get. We'll take it. I love money."
Romaine's not shy.
You're not picking up on it.
Third time I've
And
heard
so
that.
I was like, "Yeah,
Love money.
certainly." So they created this special Pride candle, and $5 for every candle that is made goes directly into the internship program, and it helps pay for, the the costs associated with the internship program, including helping to pay for the actual hours for the interns.
So if you go to derekandromaine.com, people can order and donate there.
It's right there on the main page.
Now, we're going to, John mentioned something earlier. We're going to take a quick break. We're with the infamous Derek and Romaine, and we're talking about their
Infamous.
Not us.
Their show, of course, Derek and Romaine show. Do you say Derek and Romaine 2.0, or is it just Derek and Romaine?
You call it whatever you want.
I mean, we could be here for 3 episodes about Derek and Romaine branding and everything.
Because what John and I wanted to talk about, he mentioned earlier, is you're also now in the cruise ship business.
Oh yeah, we
want
to talk about cruising.
So we want to talk about the DNR cruises and some of the events they're doing when we get back.
A huge aspect of your incredible listener base and of what you guys do has been a surprise to us, frankly. When you began doing this, I was like, this is such an unusual thing. And it's a big thing in what you guys do. And it's the cruises.
Yeah.
The DNR cruises. And how many a year do you do?
We are now doing 2 a year.
2 a year.
Yeah.
And you were the first show to do them on
Yeah,
Outkick, right?
I'd say.
And then everyone else rubbed their ass on them, and everyone else.
Lance Bass is the only one who's also done a cruise.
Frank did one.
Frank, that was an advertiser on Frank's show that came through SiriusXM.
Yeah.
And because they had approached us, we were already doing our cruises, and we were like, I don't think we'll sell cruise 1, but we will definitely take that free cruise in the Mediterranean.
Since John and I were just on Saturdays, we had cobbled up this Staten Island cruise we were going to do.
Yeah, card
Katie was
table.
gonna help us with a blender.
Katie would have a blender.
We went 5 days like you guys. We thought, well, we can do the Staten Island
ferry.
cruise.
It's a token, right?
So you do. So what are the 2 that are going to be the next 2 that are coming up?
So we have Hot Mex, which is coming up in October. We're sailing out of Los Angeles. We're going down to Mexico. It's going to be a lot of fun.
October 2017.
Really?
Yeah, October 2017.
Okay.
And still room to book?
Available.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
that.
And who's the cruise line you use for this?
That is Princess.
Princess Cruises.
and
Oh my
then-
God, just like the Love Boat, right?
Yes, it is. It is actually, that is their itinerary.
Okay.
It is
The Ruby.
So there you go.
That
You
was
can see us.
our first one that we went on, wasn't it? The Ruby Princess?
Yes, it was. That
Yeah.
was our very first Derek and Romaine cruise that we did. And then we also have Miami Madness. It's coming up in February of 2018. We're sailing out of, surprise, Miami. And we're going to the Western Caribbean. And that'll be a lot of fun.
Do you know where you're hitting in the Western Caribbean? Do you know where your stops?
Roatan, Belize, Harvest Key, their private island, and
He remembers this so
one
much
other
better
place.
than
Isn't it? I'm
I was
impressed.
just going over the shore excursions yesterday, but I tend not to get off the boat, so I never know where we are.
So what was the happy accident as to how this has really taken off with you guys?
So the cruises is really Derek's baby, and I just come in as the cruise director to put together the events on the ship. So I'm going to let Derek, you just tell him everything.
So when we very first started doing our show in 2003, for most people, radio was a local phenomenon, right? You turn on your radio,
totally.
you know the local DJ, he's doing giving a t-shirt giveaway at a car wash, whatever it is, right? And with Sirius, when we launched at Sirius, that was national radio. And so one of the things I thought about was how can we create a more local experience with the people who listen to the show? People are used to radio being local. We're in a community. Romaine and I had been to 1 million GLAD dinners and Pride events and whatever.
Man,
The gay community, they like to come together at a gay bar or at an annual event, whatever it is. So we started doing a lot of events, and I dragged Romaine to every cheap motel in America.
Everywhere.
Every Pride event.
Everywhere.
Every cheap motel in America.
No, Derek loves a $49 a night hotel.
That's my price point.
And if they make free waffles in the morning, that's even better.
Right?
No.
They got a hot meal.
No,
You bet.
and some bed bugs.
Yeah.
No, and hookers out front. Oh,
Yeah.
that happened.
One time, and she was across the street. There was like a sex toy shop across the street, and she was sort of across the street from the motel, but it was not a nice motel. Although there was a wedding there the weekend we were there, so it wasn't that bad. But there was also like fake up potted plant outside my room that was over a nasty stain on the carpet. It was not a nice place. Okay.
It was a murder hotel.
So
I'm convinced.
This is where you would meet your fans.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So we would meet listeners at various places, and they would meet each other, and we developed a rapport. We would go to places over and over again, and then a few years later, we had Greg and Kelly from Our Family Vacations on our show, and they said, "Hey, we're leaving on a cruise out of New York in a couple of weeks. Why don't you come with us? You can record a couple of shows on the ship." And so we did that. We had a great time, and then we did an Alaska cruise with them, and then we did a land-based vacation with them in Florida. And one of the things that we noticed is that people who listen to the show were booking on the Our Family Cruise just to spend the week
with you guys. Yeah. Okay.
And they did not have kids. They just wanted to go. And so I said to Romaine, I said, look, we're dummies. We love Greg and Kelly, but why are we throwing business their way when we could be doing our own cruises?
Yeah.
Get our own, like pick our own itineraries, go where we want to go, spend a week, maybe we'll make some money. At the very least, it won't cost us anything. We'll get a free vacation.
I was like, free is my favorite word, so okay.
Yeah.
'Cause you like money.
I do.
So we started doing them in 2003, and we didn't make any money on the first two. But we did, it was very clear, very immediately that we were on to something. From the very first cruise we did, we had 25 people, but they glued themselves to each other. Because at first we thought, oh, they're just going to only want to hang out with us. But we really
I was
discovered
curious about them.
they want to hang out with each other.
Yeah, they don't care. After like day 2 or 3 on any one of our
they don't
cruises,
care.
they could care less about us. It's this. I kind of describe it as.
This is fascinating.
Oh, it is fascinating. It's become the most fascinating part of the DNR cruises for me. Is watching it happen. So you have all these strangers who get on the ship and they have one thing in common: they love
DNR.
Derek and Romaine.
Yeah.
And I always look at them as. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have something that makes them different from like the society that they're living in. Whether maybe they're a little socially awkward or maybe they're a little nerdy or there's just some little quality about their personality that kind of has set them apart in their life and they've always felt that way.
Like a B-52s concert.
Yeah, and then they get together and they're like magnets. They just come together and they're just like jump, jump, and they find their tribe. It is the craziest thing to witness, and yet you see these relationships form over a series of 7 days. And some of these listeners will tell you they have met their extended family. Like to them, that is who they have met. They're best friends and their extended family.
So and one of my big questions when I knew we were talking to you about this is how does the rest of the ship react to your gang?
It could be a mixed bag.
It's usually pretty good.
Yeah, most of our group is fun.
Yeah, we're the life of the party.
And we have, they wear lanyards around their necks and everybody's got DNR shirts and whatever. And so we get a lot of questions. Oh, who's this group? And we tend to get hangers on.
They often think that DNR are getting married on the ship. That happens a lot.
Oh, a
They're
lot.
like, who is DNR? Are they getting married?
No, they sell Avon.
Yeah, they are, kinda.
We did have, when we went to Alaska, people went to the desk and complained that there was a lesbian couple in the room next to them. And the front desk said, oh, are they being loud or something? It's like, no, they're lesbians. It's like, well, I'm sorry. We're not moving you and we're not moving them. If you can't deal with lesbians existing, then you should probably find another cruise line.
Really? Someone said there's lesbians in the room next to us.
But that's the example of something that was a bad situation. But even then, it didn't really impact our group because no one really knew about it, except for the listeners who overheard it. But generally speaking, everyone on the ship is very, very nice to our group. I haven't heard any really negative things.
You're there to have a good time. Everyone's there for a good time.
People often want to join our group because we're so, we're fun. We come in with our rainbow lays and we're ready to have a good time. And everyone's like, who's this fun group? How can we be a part?
It's a vacation. People are on vacation. When they see people having fun, they want to have fun too. Yeah. That's why they booked. That's why they're there. So our group just brings a lot of fun. And
you bring your family?
I do bring them sometimes. Derek has always tried to get me to leave them at home, and I gotta say he's right. I should leave them home more often. But I do bring the family. Romy, I always tell my daughter, I'm like, you don't even realize how lucky you've got. I'm like, you've swam with some dolphins. You've been to Alaska twice. I'm like, do you even realize all of the things that this show allows you to do?
She will.
One day she will.
Yeah.
And,
all you have to do in exchange is keep your room clean, which she doesn't do.
But I'll tell you why Iris isn't allowed to go anymore. So we were talking about the Hot Mex cruise and how infamous it is. So the last time we went to Mexico, Iris's motherland, she drank too much tequila and ended up peeing on the dock next to the ship in front of a whole gaggle of listeners. And ever since then, I was like, oh no, this is not happening again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I got to draw the line right here in the sand.
In fairness, Romaine had her room key, so she couldn't get on the ship, and Romaine was shopping at the port.
That is not exactly how that happened.
Secondary.
That's not exactly how that happened. She wandered off in a drunken stupor with our child.
Did she have a room key?
No, because she left it with me.
Yeah, I hadn't seen.
Derek, are you single?
I'm single, and my mother is coming on Hot Mex.
Oh,
and
I was going to say, if you haven't met anyone along the way in this
I
trip?
can't. On the very first cruise we did, I did sleep with another passenger on the ship, and That stayed a secret for maybe 10 seconds. And I realized I do not have the ability to get laid because it's all everyone will talk about. So it is a real bummer.
What happened to the one guy you were about to get laid? This is the best story.
We were on the New York sailing, and there was this hot guy who was traveling with his mother. Of course, gay guy with his mother on the ship. And so we
love these.
You know, every night on the ship, people are at the bar, and then the bar shuts down at whatever 1, 2 in the morning, and everyone's fire sale outside, right?
Yeah. Like Stardust Pizza in P-Town.
And so he turns to me and he's like, "Let's get out of here." We all know what that means. I was like, "Yeah, you bet. Let's go. Got my own room. Let's go." And so we're leaving. And so we go, and then we're taking the stairs, because you always take the stairs. That's how you don't get fat on a cruise.
True.
So we're taking the stairs, and as we were going between decks, the staircases on cruise ships, they're open, like ventilated between the steps. And as we're going up, somebody on one of the decks, one of the listeners was walking by, like, "Ooh, there's Derek. Ooh, they're going, something's going to happen." And we got up to the next floor, and he's like, "Well, good night." And it was not even a warm handshake.
Oh.
Those bitches. They kept me from getting laid. The guy was hot.
Blocked him.
I was so mad.
I will say, Derek, I don't want to talk out of school, but you and I did an event in Philadelphia, and you had a porn star with you.
I did, yes.
What was his name?
Well, I was having a midlife crisis.
Which one?
Bobby Rail. I did have
Wait. Well, I was having a midlife
I was
crisis.
jealous. I was like, well, Derek.
I had, I had a dysfunctional thing with another guy. I don't even want to say we were dating. That's how dysfunctional it was. And I was not feeling good about it. And so the way that I felt better about it was to sleep with a very hot porn star who had recently gotten out of prison. For
Yeah, I remember
murder.
you said that. Yeah.
Recently
It was quite an event.
Oh, no.
I mean,
like days before they started dating.
Yeah. It was probably 4 months from when you met that he had been in solitary confinement in the state of Florida. So
true story.
Yeah, that's all.
I remember you saying that he just got out of prison. I'm like, oh my God. And Madonna's brother was there, and they introduced him by the wrong name.
Madonna's brother, Christopher Ciccone was there. Yeah. That was
Ciccone, they call him.
He was smoking. He was smoking something in his hotel room, and he set off the fire alarm in the middle of the night.
God, I remember that.
Yeah, it was a great event.
That was a fun
event.
Tim still laughs about this event and about how the two of you are like, oh my God, what's going on down here? You know, this cruise ship, this fooling around on the cruise ship, this reminds me of my friend Tony, a.k.a. Trish. When we used to go out to the Pines years ago, Fire Island Pines, rule number one with Tony, with anybody in our house was get a phone number, take it to the city. Nothing could have happened. For this guy, nothing happened out there because if nothing happened, nothing could be gossiped about.
True. Smart. Yes.
But it kind of is a killjoy.
It is because, the group is big now, and I'll be honest, there have been some people who have sailed with us that I would totally hit that. And I have been unable to do so. And so it's irritating.
But got your talent.
Yeah.
Your talent, you're the stars. I don't know,
there are trade-offs with any job, and I guess this is one of them.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Been in business a week. I got more money and I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
Welcome back to the July 4th Focus Group Extravaganza. I have to remember that.
Is that what it is?
Focus Group July 4th Extravaganza.
Extravaganza.
And we have our July 4th background. We're both in red because we're patriots. The only color we're missing is the blue, but that's in some of the background.
That's right, in the Focus Group logo. We didn't plan on the red.
We did not plan on red shirts, but we have them. So many of you remember that about 7 months ago, we did a Trader Joe's Aldi special where we looked at. Tim introduced me to Aldi many years ago and Trader Joe's, frankly. And he said, you're crazy if you're not shopping at these places because of the money you can save and the quality of the food. And so back in March of this year, you got me to go to Costco.
You went with
my friend
Lee.
Sonda, Lee's wife, Sonda, and she taught me the Costco way, got my card, got the huge cart. And then I felt like I was in a museum after about 10 minutes because you're so assaulted by prices and there's everything there. There's TVs, there's computers, there's groceries, there's everything.
Clothing. So there's over 500 outlets in the U.S.
And we're close to two of them. I have one in Manhattan. We have one in Yonkers.
It's the second largest retailer in the U.S., which I didn't realize. They're also the largest. I read this, which I was surprised about on their site. They just became the largest, or the number one retailer of prime beef, organic foods, rotisserie chicken, and wine.
Number one
retailer of those 5 things.
So this would explain how when I finish a shopping experience there, I go through and I look at my bill and I look at what I actually bought, and it's just price per everything about Costco. Where some of the stuff we're going to talk about, you did price per pound, but if you actually brought it down to price per serving and you compared it to a grocery store, it's like a fifth. Sometimes it's 1/5 to 1/6 the cost of what you pay at a normal grocery store.
Well, because of volume, if you go to any of these shopping sites, because of volume, their markup is only somewhere averages around 14%.
Not much
markup. So when you look at other big box retailers or whatever, it's certainly more than that.
So we picked our favorite items, and Tim has guided me through this. An item that's not going to be on our list, but which is one of our new favorite items, though, is the strawberry rhubarb pie. So
oh my God, it's like
have
crack.
this box that sells 4 little pies. Tim says buy them and freeze them.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. And you said something that I didn't do yet. You said a thing of vanilla ice cream.
Little vanilla ice cream, which they have Humboldt's ice cream there, which I think comes from upstate New York. But they have in Philly. But you have to buy 2 half gallons, and it's $12. But it's
in the freezer.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, so these are our personal picks. We each did 5, and it's surprising how they cross, by the way, because when we finally collated our answers and what our favorite things were, I got to look at what Tim.
So it's your favorite. So we're going to start with our items, and the last 2 things we do will be our favorite things.
Oh, I thought we flipped it around. So the first item is one of your favorites.
No, first item is my 5th favorite.
That's
so
okay.
that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
So you start.
So the first thing that I picked, and I turned on our friend Brian from AdMark, who was on a couple weeks ago, to this for his parents, and I actually brought them to my parents, and I have other people that have used them because they're great. A great food is roasted peppers. So if you go into so if you go into the pre-made section, they have stuffed peppers, and they're about $3.99 a pound. And I put them in the oven for I do it at 400 for an hour. Some people do it differently.
400 for an hour?
I do 400 for an hour. Some people say to put foil over it. I don't.
So the meat's not pre-cooked?
It is, but you want to cook the peppers. The peppers aren't.
Okay.
So it's meat and rice, or ground beef and rice, and some cheese on top. And then what I do is I don't put foil over it because I like to have a little crust on the top. So I cook mine without the foil, but you could put the foil over it if you wanted to have it more kind of like a steamed thing. And the best thing to do is if you have a bunch of people over, it's a great meal with a salad, or you can freeze a couple of them in a Ziploc bag, freeze them, and then just pop them in and eat them. They're only 320 calories average per stuffed pepper. So it's one of my favorite things are the roasted peppers. When they have them. They don't have them all the time.
They had them at Yonkers.
Did you get them?
No, Bob says we could buy peppers and stuff them ourselves.
Not as good.
That's not the point.
And they won't be as good.
The point is to buy the Costco stuffed pepper.
So what was
my first item? And I like all my
picked?
items equally, by the way.
Do you?
'Cause I
Okay.
think I chose Kirkland Organic Ground Round. Yeah. Okay. So
now I haven't done this.
This is incredible meat. It tastes fantastic. I'm showing in the photograph of here on the YouTube version 2 of these little squares. It's 100% organic. And the thing about Costco that amazes me, there's a little symbol on the package, is a circle, and it says USDA organic. That's the highest level of organic quality. It's like there's a pyramid of organic, and that's the peak. A lot of the Costco Kirkland brand has that symbol, which is amazing. So they sell those little squares as a strip of 3. You have to buy all 3. When I did the math and I divided up the cost per those 3 things per pound, $4.99 per pound. All right, so yeah, if you have if it's just 2 people and you're each having a burger, like a half-pound burger is kind of it's $2.50.
Yeah.
So we now buy a bunch of that and immediately freeze it and save it, and it's 85% lean, so you have enough for barbecuing, enough fat in the meat for a good barbecue experience. It's fantastic.
And Kirkland is their private label. So, and the big mystery that everybody has, again, if you go and search any of these sort of foods that Kirkland does, people try to see where they source them from.
Yeah, where is it?
And it's hard to find where they source them from.
What's your next one?
My next one, I was able to find out. Somebody figured out where it was sourced from. Is the chicken breast strips. So this comes in a pack of
You've
two.
been telling me about these.
They're $9.99. It's just chicken breast. It's
Sliced.
100, right? It's 110 calories per serving. It's fully cooked, no preservatives, no artificial flavors, 0 trans fats. They come together in 2 1-pound packages. I throw them in stir fry. I throw them in rice. I throw them in soups. You throw them on salads.
Happy to put on a salad.
I always put a little heat on them because I don't particularly like them cold. But somebody online at one of the websites says that they believe it's sourced from Foster Farms, which is a West Coast poultry company, privately owned and operated by the Foster family since 1939 out of Livingston, California.
So this
all
is
naturally fresh-grown turkey and chicken, but this is the chicken strips for $9.99. All chicken white meat. You can't beat it.
This is my new item.
You got to find it.
When I saw you put this in there, it dovetails into my next one, which is something you kind of crinkled your nose at, and I don't blame you, although I do love it. It's canned chicken.
Yeah.
I was first exposed to this when I signed up for Costco. I got a free 6-pack, 6 of those cans.
Oh, is that how you found it?
And the only way
I couldn't have found that in a
ever
bit in there.
use it was... So one day we're at the house, we want to have sandwiches, and we hadn't gone grocery shopping. Bob opened one of these, mixed it with a little mayonnaise and some mustard. We had these chicken salad sandwiches. Fantastic. It's one of those things you have in your cabinet, and you never know it. You could throw it in pasta sauce. It's just chicken.
Yeah.
It feels like you're having tuna.
Mayonnaise. So it's probably similar. So mayonnaise, you can mix it up and do a chicken salad, a little celery, walnut.
So these
grapes.
are 6 cans for $9.89. Yeah, think about that, right? It's $1. It's like it's cheap food, and it's it's all or USDA prime chicken, blah blah blah, all good for you. So what's your next one?
My next one is something again I've turned a number of people on, particularly down in Rehoboth Beach, is the Summer Fresh Tuscan bean salad.
Yeah, I didn't see this.
This
when I was last there.
I can eat it like crack. It's $5.99 for a 2-pound tub. It's 140 calories per serving, which is about a half a cup. It's navy beans, barley, garbanzo beans, or chickpeas, what people call them.
Give me an idea.
So 2 pounds. It's okay.
It's a
that's a
little
tub.
deceiving. It's a bigger.
It's a big tub.
Okay.
It's got red pepper, green pepper. It's in canola oil, a little bit of onion, and I throw it on a bed of lettuce with a little chicken salad, or use it as a side dish with the peppers, for instance, or anything else. But it's another one of those things that comes and goes. They've had it at Costco for a number of years, but it's seasonal. So it's right now during the summer.
Okay, I have
be
to
a good
keep my eyes
time.
peeled for this. Then.
Get it. But if you see that, pick it up. I've actually had friends tell me now, if you're getting one, pick up one for me. So it's well worth it if you like that sort of side dish, and it's healthy.
Now I think my next one is a sweet. I think it's chocolate. And it's these things called Belgian Thins. Again.
Oh, I've seen those there.
Okay, so they have quinoa, they have goji berries. It's dark chocolate. There's the USDA symbol, that top of the line USDA. So it's all natural, vegan. It's fantastic tasting chocolate. It's the dark, like 72% dark chocolate. When you look at the ingredients broken down, or I should say the nutrition table, fat, carbo, protein, it's actually not bad for you at all. It's a delicious snack. So Bob now favors something called Bark Thins. Is
this similar to that?
This is same idea. It's like flat chocolate that's been broken up into pieces, but this is actually better for you because it's all totally
You love that dark chocolate, though.
I'm a whore.
Of course, Bob says you will eat milk chocolate too. You just don't like to say it.
At Christmas, when milk chocolate is on hand, it's bad to have chocolate go to waste, in my opinion. You got to have chocolate. So that was my other one, Belgian Thins. It seems to be there a lot, so I'm guessing it's a staple.
If you're lucky enough and your Costco has a liquor store and you drink alcohol, don't pass it up. The Kirkland brand Chardonnay wines out of California, The small bottle is $6.99. The big bottle is $6.79.
I don't get that.
They do taste differently, and if you don't get hung up on the label and you just open this up in your kitchen and pour it or put it in a carafe, people drink it like it's gold. It is for $6.79 for the big bottle there, which if you're watching on the screen, and for $6.99 for the other Chardonnay. It is. It tastes like you're drinking a $20 bottle.
We saw
great.
that at the Yonkers store had a liquor section.
Get the Chardonnay and
not too buttery.
Nope. It's wonderful. It really is good. And if you go to the different wine blogs as well, they'll rank these Kirkland wines. And again, it's a big guessing game as to what vineyard they sourced it from. But even their vodka, for instance, their Kirkland vodka, people have it down to where they think it's Grey Goose, but they're not sure. But I buy the vodka for $12 a bottle, which instead of Grey Goose at $40 is a good deal.
And we drink vodka usually
mix it.
So the minute you throw a mixer in,
But the
might as well buy pop off.
but everyone I know will attest to the Chardonnay is a good bargain.
So my next one is pasta, and I saw this first at a grocery store in upstate.
No, I never saw this there. Where is it? Is it in the?
It was in the
dry goods area.
Dry goods area, and the box is deceiving. It's 2 1-pound bags, all organic. Again, that circular USD organic symbol. It's made of edamame.
So it's not made of wheat then?
No, so it's basically you're getting, for every serving, you're getting 25 grams of protein and 23 grams of carbohydrates. So from a point of view of how your body processes protein and carbs, 1 gram of carbohydrates usually transports 1 gram of protein to your muscles and is better for you. So you use up the carb building the protein in. So if you're going to have pasta, you might as well have edamame pasta because it actually gives you protein.
I'll have to try that.
And it's only $7.99 for 2 pounds. Now, when I bought the box I first tried months ago from a different grocery store, it was $5.49 for basically 4 servings. This is $7.99 for 14 servings.
Wow.
It's fantastic. It's great to have on hand, so I highly recommend the edamame pasta.
And my favorite thing, John mentioned at the opening that Costco sells clothes. My favorite thing that I found there, they have great shirts. Actually, this is a Costco shirt that I have on. And I'm also wearing Costco jeans, which I got. They're Urban Star jeans for $12.99. Some stores have them for $15.99. This picture I had, but some of them have rebates and they're $12.99. I was poking around. They're 98% cotton. They fit great. They come in a multitude of sizes. They've got a little bit of stretch to them, which I like. They're about 2% spandex of the 98% cotton. The funny thing about them is Target sells the brand as, you can find them on Amazon as well, for as high as $65 a pair.
Same brand.
Same exact thing. So I went and I checked the different websites. I went to Target. I went to other sites, and you can get them on eBay cheap, probably used. But I laughed because I thought at Amazon they were selling them for $64.99, $15.99 to $12.99 at Costco. They fit great. I've been complimented in them a lot. I won't buy other jeans.
I gotta check it out because I looked, but I did not look hard enough. I got kind of lost in the clothing section. You haven't right yet.
So yeah, but anyway, that's my favorite thing there right now are those jeans for $12.99. You can't
beat $12.99 jeans. You can't beat it. My last thing actually is Bob's favorite thing.
Really?
I decided to put a Bob Costco find, and it's Bob's favorite thing, and he found this Kirkland Brie.
Oh, that is good.
Made in Normandy. That's deceptive. The picture is deceptive. The wheel is pretty big. It's like this.
The hubcap on a Volkswagen.
Like a Beetle. Yeah, like a Volkswagen Beetle. It's delicious.
Yeah,
it's some of the best brie I've had, and I
Isn't it like $8.99 or $7.99? Yeah, it's I don't.
No, we're $4.99.
Okay,
$4.99 for that thing, right?
Wow.
So that was Bob's favorite pick, and that wraps up our Costco focus group July 4th extravaganza shopping spree.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody for joining us here on. We hope you had a safe and good holiday week. Being that the 4th of July fell in the middle of the week this year. And we'll post this Costco list so that if you were listening in your car or you're watching online. You'll be able to download it at any of our multitude of platforms if you go to focusgroupradio.com. We want to thank our partners here at the Focus Group, Deep Discount. Be sure to also go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo, and start saving deeply. Watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it. And of course, our friends at Volkswagen of America. Without them, we wouldn't be able to visit with you each week, so we appreciate their support. Go to vw.com to learn more. Don't text and drive. Have a safe holiday, and we'll see you next week.
Good week.
Take care.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM Satellite Radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.